Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Once Upon a Time in Some Guy's Parents' House. I'm your host Mike, and with me are my good friends and co-presenters Rob and Jules. Between them we have a screenwriter and a director in progress. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thank you. Which one of us is the one in progress?
Let's let the audience work that one out. And today, for this inaugural episode, we're going to be discussing the film Tomb Raider, which just came out, directed by Roar Uthaug, a man who sounds like he belongs in a Game of Thrones episode, and starring Alicia Vikander and Dominic West, and some of our favourites, Walton Goggins.
Oh, of course. And as we know, Dominic West doesn't belong in Baltimore, based on his performance in The Wire. But he's good with an English accent.
He can manage that.
He can somehow manage that in parts.
I'm glad you actually explained how you pronounce Roar Uthaug, because I was having difficulty with that.
Complete guess. Raw, write in and send in some kind of audio recording, and we will correct in the next episode. So, just to kick things off, Jules.
Yes.
May I ask one thing you liked about this film and one thing you did not like about this film?
Oh God, let me consult my cat notebook. And
Consult away.
Is that a notebook made out of a cat, or?
I'm going to hope for people listening, they can visualise their own answer to that question. Shut up. I find it really hard to think of something I actually liked in this film. And of all the things that kind of were it's the best I can think of, things that I thought were kind of okay. And then everything else is things that I either thought were average at best or just dull and bad.
I might give you one. I think there's one that we would agree. I'll give
Is
you
it
one.
Walton Goggins?
Probably Nick Frost in the pawn shop.
Actually, you're right.
I think we might all be in agreement on that, possibly.
But then there's bits in that that are just so idiotic. Like, just I mean, what are we doing with spoilers? Should we say that we're?
Why don't we just spoil Tomb Raider for our audience?
Thank God.
There are certainly things I'd like to say which I think are spoilers. I mean,
Yeah,
it's quite hard to spoil this film. I think if you go in not knowing exactly what's going to happen, then
I'm literally
you
about
just
to
landed
stop
on
at the end.
Earth yesterday.
So this podcast is a bit like a Ferrero Rocher.
You'll have to explain that one.
You know, the ambassador, he says, yeah.
Oh, I see, yes.
You're spoiling us.
Ah, wow.
That
you
joke
go.
really worked.
Yeah, it did.
Okay,
Clang.
so spoilers, yes.
Well, I
Nick
was just going to
Frost-
say, going off the
Frost's
Nick
pawn
Frost
shop.
thing,
Yeah.
is the entire end of the whole film is this gag of her getting two handguns that are somehow easily seen from a shop window in London, in the middle of London.
He has this military hardware background, yeah. I that seemed incongruous to me as well, that from what we'd seen of this place before, that he'd have this massive arsenal at the back. But, I don't know.
I kind of wanted to see the film after that, really. I just thought... And I was happy that she said, I'll take two. I was sort of whispering it to Jules just moments before. I was like, just say it.
See, I'm quite ignorant of the Tomb Raider franchise. Is that like a
Well, she always
line or
has...
something?
her main weapon is the double pistols that with infinite ammo.
But is the idea that I'll
She always
take
has
two?
two.
Is that a line that she?
No,
would
it's
say?
not. But it's sort of...
Right.
It was a setup. The payoff was clearly
Yeah.
obvious, I think.
I think it is, yeah. It's one of those. It's something the character's well known for. Double pistol.
There's no way
Right,
she's
okay.
coming out of that shop with one gun.
Yes.
Okay,
basically.
I see.
All right, so we've leapt right to the end of the film.
Yes.
I'm going to ask Rob same question.
Sure.
Something you liked about this film?
Okay.
Are you as negative as
One
Jules or?
Possibly not. Although I see where he's coming from. I think I really like the fox hunt scene. I don't want to go into that in more detail later. And negative, I suppose I would just call it cliffhanger fatigue. I feel like every single there was a moment where there were 3 set pieces in a row. So there was like a waterfall, like in kind of Temple of Doom thing. Then there was like the bomber that she has to kind of jump over it, and then there was a parachute, and it's kind of just too much. She's getting through it. Everything's a close shave, whereby you sort of think she can get out of anything.
Well, she's very much a passive hero throughout the whole thing.
Right.
Like, she is running away from. She's not instigating action scenes. It's like there's that bit where she's. They're in the jungle. It's the first time she gets away before it gets into that big action scene you're talking about, where she jumps into the ravine and gets washed through. Before that, they're all the slaves and they're all being used. And then the guy who the drunken sailor, I can't remember his name.
Was it?
I think
Lou
Ken.
Lou
I've got
Ren?
here. Phonetically, I've written
Yes.
Lou Ken. And
Very American Hong Kong sailor, I thought.
yes,
But yes, carry on.
but he. Rather than her thinking, oh, I'm going to escape, and then she finds a reason to escape, he creates an opportunity for her to escape, and then she just looks to him as if to say, oh, I better run now before they catch me. And there's no like decision making. Should I stay? And she's saying, no, I must stay, I must save you and help out the tribe, and him saying, no, go while you've got a chance. There's no active decision on her part. She's just running, and that to me is indicative of like all these action scenes where she's running, something falls apart. She falls down. Yes. Oh no, she's in pain. But then something else happens, so she's got to run away even further. I
agree with you completely. Actually, I thought one of the weakest things, one of the things I was really expecting to enjoy about this film was Alicia Vikander playing Lara Croft. I really liked Alicia Vikander. I think in Ex Machina she was absolutely fantastic, and then I think she thoroughly deserved her Oscar for The Danish Girl as well. I thought she was really the only really good thing about that film as well. But here I found it disappointing, and I think it's because her part actually has so little to it. And I think part of that is that she has so little impetus. She, as you say, she really just gets chased through this movie and sort of buffeted from side to side by either a force of nature or a man-made sort of scenario. And it's really not until right at the end that she actually starts to just do anything as a character.
Yes.
And I thought that was disappointing. It's not the character I really wanted to see from this film, and I didn't think it gave Alicia Vikander very much to do.
She was very good in it. I thought she was nuanced, and in those the opening sequences, I kind of
that's the best.
She did really well.
She was the best in that, I thought, because that was the most she felt human. That I didn't like the first act that much, but it still was the most humanising part of her character, because we actually had sort of trace given her, and her acting showed a lot in that. But and then it just falls apart as she starts, as you said, being buffeted from one.
The buffeting is similar to the video game, the 360 one. I mean, I'm quite a fan of the original ones, and I did play the 360 one, which I think you've told me before is a bit of a rip-off of Uncharted, but I haven't seen it.
Well,
I haven't played Uncharted, but it's got similar elements in it, but the film is obviously less interactive. So you've got these moments where, and that game had that problem where you sort of felt like, oh, here's another impossible moment to get through, and she is going to get through it. And
is this the reboot one?
Yeah, basically.
This is the 2013 game.
Yeah.
That's I understand that this film is essentially based on that game, isn't it?
Yeah. It also deals with her kind of survival elements more. In the game, she has a problem with killing. She has the bow and arrow, which is in the film, but she has it to survive, to kill deer and so on. And then eventually, which is quite a speeded up process, she sort of kills a guy and she's like mourns for a few moments, and then you're onto assault weapons. But
so is there an almost a Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater sort of element to the game?
There's a little bit of stealth, if I remember rightly.
Right.
Near the beginning, like where you're going around the area in Yamatai, wherever it is, where all the huts are and all the troops are. But you're kind of there. I suppose you're undercover for a bit, and so there is a little bit more active. As you say, she is more passive in this movie, if that's possible.
I'll just go on one random thing, because you mentioned the Uncharted games. It only occurred to me late after I'd left this film, and I was home and I was thinking about the story, and I realised it's an absolute rip of the story from the first Uncharted game.
Right.
The whole idea of, uncovering an evil thing that you think's all supernatural, but then actually it is a zombie virus that calls people to go mental and attack you. It's like a one-for-one rip. I was quite surprised at just how similar it is. I mean, it's been a long time since I played that game, but...
Well, I mean, the film I felt was derivative in many regards.
Oh,
I expected it to be. I mean, let's be honest, like, number one influence, Indiana Jones. I mean, for me, this film really only got going once they went into the tomb. And there should have been far more tomb raiding in this film.
It's called Tomb Raider, and yet she doesn't raid a tomb until an hour and a half in.
Easily. And then I actually found that even though this was fine, it's borrowing very heavily from Indiana Jones, floor tiles falling away and get the right combination of colours for the stones. But I enjoyed it. I started enjoying the movie then. You've got your nice gaggle of henchmen that are going to die in entertaining ways. And then I thought you actually had good interactions between the characters. You finally had this sort of tension between Dominic West and Walton Goggins and Alicia Vikander.
The puzzle you mentioned, the colour puzzle, I think there may be another example, but I was thinking that there could have been more puzzles where the audience could participate a bit more, because, Derek Jacobi kind of gives her the Japanese puzzle, and she sort of solves it almost instantly, and she only solves it because her dad had them littered around her house. And
it's very convenient. Well, like a lot of them, it's very convenient resolutions.
I don't know what you think about the setup and payoff. As
oh god, this one was just—it was the way that it kept in the VO as a setup and payoff for everything. The insane levels of we set this up, so now we're going to pay it off. Here's a voiceover showing you something you saw 30 seconds earlier. over the
Sure.
picture of the person saying it. It's like this knew it was doing loads of setups.
But you
and
want to
payoffs.
give the audience a clue, I think.
Exactly,
And
moments like that
then
don't
you
have
give
that.
them the riddle, and then you go, using the clue, maybe I can work it out myself.
Yes, it makes the
And
audience
that
feel smarter.
didn't happen sometimes. It did with the colour puzzle.
So one thing I liked about the film was the depiction of London at the beginning. I think we see London in lots of films, but it's always London Eye, Big Ben. I really liked the depictions of East
Beefeater.
London. Brick Lane, almost sort of
Yes.
that she's sort of cycling through at the beginning of the movie. I found that quite refreshing, quite a nice way to introduce the fact that she's an English character. I really like that. Until the fox hunt scene, which then I thought, no, this isn't the London that I live in. But Rob, you liked the fox hunt scene.
I liked it because it's something I hadn't seen before, and it's quite exciting. And one of the things I liked about the film is, and I'll give Roar Uthaug credit for this. I think is that it's one of its strengths is that it's shot in a quite clean. You can tell what's going on in an action scene. In every action scene, pretty much without fail, you can tell who's in it and who's doing what.
I don't know if I agree 100% of the film that the film did that in all of its action
Well,
scenes,
yeah, there
though.
are bits I think near towards the end.
Because there's a scene she gets attacked by a random henchman who stumbled across her, and they're rolling around in the mud. And I remember thinking, this is like, they're all covered in mud, it's dark, it's raining, it's flashing, and it's very stylistic.
The nighttime strobe
But
mud wrestling and drowning scene.
I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I don't know who to root for in this scene, because I can't tell the difference between these two characters as it quickly jumps between cuts, because they're just two black-shaped people things in a flashing light.
What would make this film better? I mean, so in terms of say Indiana Jones, why is this film not as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Tone, for one. I think that it's mixed tone. There are bits, like, for example, in the pawn shop where it's funny, and then there are parts where, as you're saying, they're scrabbling around in the dark, trying to kill someone and then dealing with death. So that needs to be clearer, maybe just a bit more just fun, possibly.
So, like the Angelina Jolie films, then we haven't
Possibly.
spoken about them. I have seen both of those original Tomb Raider films. I don't know if
It's
you
so
have.
long I couldn't speak about them with any sort of accuracy.
But I was thinking maybe
Yeah.
that is actually what I want from a Tomb Raider film, and not the film we got
stupid.
this time.
Tomb Raider is a stupid concept.
Because Roar Uthaug has it in him. Because I was looking at his filmography rather, and I haven't seen any of his stuff really, apart from I saw a short film called A Fistful of Kebab.
Oh yeah.
And it's mostly, it seems like a lot of his work is comedy horror. Or
Tell
at
us
least
about
early.
A Fistful of Kebab.
Basically, it's Norwegian. That's it. No, this guy goes into a kebab shop and he orders this kebab, and it's like the spiciest kebab ever. And the locals are warning him that there was somebody who once had it, and then like there are his shoes over there, and he's now dead or whatever. And it's essentially an action scene. Basically, it's a big comedy action scene. It was side serving of horror, like body horror, because he basically he eats the kebab and kind of spits it out like bullets from a gun, but like the mask, that scene in the mask. But yeah, like condiments are like acid and that sort of thing. And it's kind of a bit like Sam Raimi. But,
That's very realistic.
yeah, it's and so he. I mean, I think he co-directed that one, but it's interesting. He has that kind of comic sensibility in him.
How relevant do you think this franchise still is? I mean, I'm not really in the video game world so much anymore, and I mean, is this still a very successful video game franchise?
Very. Tomb Raider is one of the most successful. It's been incredibly successful for Square Enix.
I know they're trying to kind of shape some sort of universe, probably.
Really,
How do you think they'll follow this up? What do you think the sequel to this film will look like? Because they're going, in the very last couple of minutes, they have this. Suddenly we've got a sassy, quite confident Lara with two big guns. So is this going to turn into the old Tomb Raider film?
I think it'll be going back on what you were saying about comparing it to the original Tomb Raider and what did right, what did wrong, or at least with the Indiana Jones sort of comparisons. To me, this feels like with the sequel, it's going to go into the worst possible world, because what this thing did right is it gave us a very humanised Lara Croft. At least we understood who she was as a person. Whereas the problems with the original Tomb Raiders were they're all fun and they're silly, but Angelina Jolie sort of plays this extremely one-dimensional, awesome action hero that we just you can't, as an audience member, identify with. They're like a god. It's like watching Superman on screen.
Yes,
you just
I'd agree
think
with that.
they're indestructible. So you don't. There's no tension. There's no. You don't care about their motivations or the journey or the arc. But the film around them is fun. You're having a silly, fun time.
One thing I did see on Wikipedia briefly is this line here. Producer Adrian Ascaret told IGN in an interview that he may oversee a film universe with Just Cause, Hitman, Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, and Thief. So he's going to somehow draw together all these different video games into one.
2 characters that
Alright,
most people have heard of.
Can we just
other
go?
people
Can you
that
repeat that
nobody
list?
cares about.
Repeat that list slowly.
Just Cause.
Okay, so basically James Bond
Okay.
crossed with Archer.
Hitman.
So, well, they've done a Hitman films and they did really well, didn't they?
Tomb Raider.
Well, I think we've established that.
What's
film.
that?
Deus Ex.
Deus Ex,
Deus
yeah.
Ex.
That
So sort of
could work.
futuristic,
Basically,
cybery crime,
Yeah.
noir sort of thing.
Mm.
How do
So
they
Blade
match
Runner.
that with Tomb Raider?
I don't know. And
because Deus Ex is set in a dystopian
Thief.
future.
Yes, it is.
And
Thief.
Thief.
So
A franchise that nobody remembers.
I believe. Well, they're still releasing lots of
Oh,
Thief
oh, I
games.
see. This is.
But
yeah,
but
this
again,
is,
it's one of these things where it's the fans buy them, but in terms of like mass sales, they're very small. And the last successful one
Yeah,
probably
how do
was
those belong?
about 10
I
years
mean,
ago.
we'd have to check.
But again,
citation
but hold on,
needed,
hold on.
as you
But
might
Thief-
say.
can we just say,
Don't know
okay,
when he said that.
Thief, from what I remember, is set in about like the 16th century, something
Something
around
like
that
that,
time,
yes.
16th,
Isn't it kind
17th
of
century.
fantasy?
late medieval.
You
isn't
can
it?
morph into a
Yes.
mouse and things like that.
Deus Ex is like dystopian, futuristic
Quite far in the
cyberpunk.
future, if
Very
I remember as
far.
well. Like hundreds of years in the future, I believe.
Yeah, it's like 21 something. It's very far advanced. Tomb Raider. I mean, is it like they're going through the generations? I don't.
I think they just went. They just got a fire sale on characters that they might have been able to put into a video game.
Wait, hold on.
They only just
Can I
turned
just look
down
at this-
Jack and Daxter.
Can I just look at this
you
list a
know,
second? Because I think I've realised something here. Yeah, Just Cause, Hitman, Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, and Thief are all owned by Square Enix.
Well, this makes a lot of sense.
So, yeah.
Hopefully,
So
we'll
that's,
get a Kingdom Hearts mashup as well, and we'll get Goofy and the Final Fantasy characters in a final set piece. Yeah, I mean, this is clearly the idea that a cinematic universe is now
my God.
required for
Square
every
Enix.
single film.
Square Enix Cinematic Universe. That's.
I
Oh my God.
I think wrapping up, can I ask you your final thoughts on Tomb Raider?
My major problem with this film, and this is a whole, what I think the nugget of what the whole thing comes down to, is that it had like almost no conflict. It was all obstacles. This is why I think it comes across as boring. I'll explain this for anyone who isn't as remarkably as highly intelligent as me.
oh my god.
No, what I mean to say is an obstacle is just something like Lara Croft wants to do an action. She has motivation to do whatever. She wants to find her father, so she's on the island. Something happens that gets in her way that stops her from doing it. She overcomes it.
Well, hold on, Einstein. Can
Next
you explain
one.
that to me again?
What's an island?
Yeah.
It's this.
I think I do understand.
Yeah.
And
Whereas
I
a
think,
conflict
Yes.
is like she is having two. She had two different wants. She had a reason for doing what she's doing, but then a reason for not wanting to do it.
which I think they brought in the tomb.
Which they brought in the tomb,
You know, that's-
exactly.
Then
So
we have
that's
conflict, right?
this is why this
her
was
father doesn't want it
interesting.
to be opened, but Walton Goggins is going to kill her father if
Exactly.
she doesn't. So she's in a quandary. Would you recommend this film? Recommend our audience see this film, Jules?
Oh, that depends how much you really dislike
Just a yes or no
yourself.
question.
No.
Rob,
I guess it's kind of average. Just wait for the sequel. Maybe the sequel's better.
it's a no from me as well. Well, thank you all for joining us. This was the inaugural episode of Once Upon a Time in Some Guy's Parents' House. We'll be back in this guy's parents' house for another episode soon.